we're going to get the best answer to all that because we're going to bring in Dylan Krehl in from East Noble High School, the standout running back, linebacker. I think he even kicks it every once in a while. Really good football player that we've watched over the last 3 years or so. Dylan, how you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Thank you guys for having me on.
Well, we've really enjoyed watching you play over the last few years, and you're always fun to watch, and just how you play the game. It's truly amazing what you and your teammates do because a lot of you guys go both ways. And I know that a couple of weeks when we had you against Snyder there at Northrop High School, the game that got lightning out, that game to me was pretty much a slobber knocker, if you want to say that, for the Friday night. I know that having to get up the next day, travel back down to Fort Wayne after a very hot night did not lend itself to you guys in terms of what the ultimate outcome was. But that ball game 2 weeks ago that we had you guys was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think that was just a stepping stone for us overall. If you go back and look at that game, our defense played amazingly. And then our offense, we took a lot from that game. Seeing as our O-line, we kind of had to fix a few things. And getting an early test like we did against Snyder, I think really helped us, especially this past week when we played Leo, who had a great defensive end in Brock Schott, and then great D lineman Tristan Roberts too. So I think that Snyder game was one of the best games, not even though we didn't win, it was just a great game overall for us because it helped us develop into a better team.
Yeah, no question. I mean, this past week against Leo, Biddle had another great game, 14 of 21, 217 yards. Ended up having two touchdown passes. You had 218 yards, a real long run of 63, and a touchdown. And your wide receiver group is, again, Biddle's doing a great job of spreading the ball around between Swagger, Tesh, and Hatton. Offensively right now, you guys are hitting on all cylinders, and irregardless of where you're at in a ball game, when you guys need a score, it just seems like your offense is able to step up and make the plays necessary you need to make on any Friday night.
Yeah, so I would definitely say our wide receiver group this year is probably one of the most underrated in the NEA, just because you have so many players like you have myself and you have Dallas Plattner in the backfield, two really good running backs that really get most of the limelight for our offense. And then you have Riley, who's just an amazing all-around quarterback. He can scramble, he can throw the ball, which he showed on a Friday night against Leo. He's a versatile quarterback. And then our wide receiver group really blew up this week, with Mason Trish having an amazing game overall for us, and then Landon Swagger having a breakout game on Friday night. Not many people had heard about Swag going into Friday night, but he's just an absolute dog. He's a great ball player. If you saw that catch he made at the goal line, that diving catch, it just goes to show how much work he puts in the week. And then we have Logan Hatton, who is just a freak of nature. He had that pick six on defense to start the game out for us. And then he had amazing catches on offense that really helped spark our offense, score more points. So overall, I think we're just a well-balanced team this year between the run and the passing game.
Yeah, Dylan Krehl joining us from East Noble tonight here on Upon Further Review. Dylan, looking at this, just not just this past game, 218 yards on the ground for you, but 10.9 per carry. You're efficient. I mean, it's not just that you're racking up yardage, the efficiency. Talk a little bit about that. How that mentality of barreling the guy down in front of you or hitting the guy. I mean, you're a linebacker too, so you play both ways. You know how that style is. That smash mouth style, that's proved to be effective for you. Just talk about kind of your style as a lower to the ground runner kind of deal, kind of the emphasis on your game that you've had as you've gone through the East Noble program.
Yeah, so I can't take all the credit for that 10 yards of carry because my O-line and tight ends block amazing for me up front. Without those guys, I wouldn't be averaging 10 yards of carry. So, and then I would say my downhill style of running definitely came from my dad, who says that you always got to quit dancing. Every time we watch running backs that dance and try and get through holes, he always loses his lid and gets all mad about it. So he never tells me to dance. He always tells me once you see a hole just to go right through it. And then I also have to shout out Ty Lawson, our running back coach, who he tells me not even to dance too. He knows that I'm more of a physical running back, that I'm not the most shiftiest running back in the NE8, but he tells me to get downhill. Like in this play you just seen right here, I just hit the hole. I'm not trying to get shifty with it. I'm just trying to hit holes and get upfield and get first downs for our offense to set us up for better field position.
Absolutely. Talk about the change with Coach Stewart coming in. You know, Luke Amstutz, now athletic director, activities director there, had been the longtime coach. He moves up. You bring Coach Stewart in. I know Coach Amstutz really wanted to coach this group your senior year. Didn't work out that way, but ultimately that transition with you guys, that senior class that you guys have with Coach Stewart coming in, and the success that you've been able to find early, just talk about that transition and really new opportunities for this Knights team.
Yeah, so it kind of sucked when Stutz left because he's been around my entire high school career at East Noble, so he's the only coach I've ever had. But with Stewart coming in, he's actually been a really great coach for us overall. He's instilled a smash mouth offense, which you guys see on Friday nights. But it's been really easy for us to transition over to Stewart because everybody on this team that is starting this year has had 2 or more years of varsity experience, which kind of takes off a lot of the pressure for Stewart because he knows he can trust us in big games like on Friday night. Stewart knew he can put all of us in there and he would have confidence in us no matter what we did because we are all so experienced.
Yeah. Defensively against Leo, I mean, without telling me everything, because you might see this group again, what was it, the emphasis this past week in practice, the week leading up to the game on Friday, that you guys really, and you know, from a defensive side of things, with all the playmakers they had, the ability to just hang in there, and when it came down to the late to make those plays, to, you know, the big interception and all of that late in the game, to stay in there and to be able to capitalize and ultimately get the win really late.
Yeah, so this week in practice, we were talking about how it was our fault last year that we lost in the sectionals because we gave up 45 points on defense. And so we felt like we had something to prove this week in our defense, especially since we've been playing extremely well this year and really only having one bad game against the second part of Snyder. But coming into this game, we knew we had to stop Brock and Landon because they were 2 amazing players, exceptional players with great abilities. And then Nate Foster, their running back, who is electrically fast. We knew we were going to have to try and slow him down to give us an even better chance. And we knew with Esaguera, their new quarterback, he a little less of an experience, so we knew we had to get in his face. We had to challenge him, and that allowed our DBs to play loose and make those interceptions that they did and really give us a turn for the tide. And so overall, we just had to play loose and really get our get back from last year in the sectional game.
Well, I think you did that. Now, looking ahead here, and not that we want to jump too far ahead, of course, this week you head to Belmont, which is not always a fun trip, just the standpoint. It's a little further away for you guys in that regard. But here in a couple weeks, you've got Columbia City coming up to East Noble, which will be a monumental game. Right now, with you two being essentially tied at the top of the NE8 standings, what is it? Do you know much about Columbia City and you know, from a football perspective? I'm sure you probably know a lot of the different players that they have, but have you had a chance to really start looking at those guys yet, or has it been mostly on you guys after this big win?
Yeah, we haven't looked at CC yet because we know we have to take care of Norwell first because Norwell's this Friday. And so we know we have to take care of Norwell first because if we don't get through Norwell, then there's no shot at us winning the conference. And so we have to do with Norwell first. And then after we get past Norwell this Friday night, then we can look towards CC next week and really start honing in on how to stop Columbia City. But I'm just looking for a great showdown come CC. They have amazing players on both sides of the ball, and obviously they have Stratton at wide receiver, who's just a phenomenal athlete. But they also have running back Landon Fazio, who's been tearing it up in the Northeast Conference this year. So overall, I mean, we're going to have to keep doing what we're doing. And even though we did beat Leo this Friday, we have to put it past us now and look forward into the future now. Because if we're going to sit back on this Leo win, then we're not going to be as productive as we can come Friday night. So this week, we're really just going to focus on Norwell and being the best East Noble team we can possibly be.
Yeah, I mistakenly said Belmont, and I got my 2 schools messed up there because New Haven, it goes to Columbia City, and that's a team that always has given Columbia City a little bit of fits in in and out every year because there's always that one place. It seems like in the NE8, you all have your one place that in years past has tripped you up or given you one of those games that, you weren't expecting the result that you got. But you guys have kind of handled that to date right now. And then, like you said, you have Norwell this week, and then you head into the month of October, which brings a lot of different things on the plate. But right now, I think you guys are playing really great football. Your defense is playing well. Of course, you're leading, you were the leading tackler from Friday night as well. Let me ask you this, and then we can let you get out of here to go do some studying, I'm sure. But what is it for you playing both ways? Running back, you're going to take a lot of shots. I mean, it's just incumbent of the position. But at the same time, you do the same thing defensively as a linebacker. Now, you're giving them more than you're taking them. But at some point, how does that for you in terms of you're just wear and tear in your own body throughout a Friday night and stuff?
Yeah, so this year I've really tried getting out of bounds and not taking dumb hits or late hits that I shouldn't be taking in games. Like if you watch Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks, he knows he's getting up there in age, so he doesn't take any hits that he has to take. And so I've really tried to implement in that in my game, especially this year, because I try and get as many yards as I can, and then I just get out of bounds, try and save my body, especially for defense. But overall, I've just been trying to keep myself healthy by not making dumb plays and trying to keep myself out of harm's way.
What are you looking to do for in college? Or is there anything you're looking for special in a college? Are you looking to play at the next level? What does that look like for you on the horizon?
I'd love to play at the next level, but right now I'm really looking to a college that'll help me get my degree in secondary education, because that's the one thing I want to do. I want to be a teacher. I want to give back to the communities that have gave me everything in life, and then I also want to be able to coach. So just getting my secondary education would be an amazing way to help me get into the coaching, but I do want to play football. But football's probably a number 2 for me right now.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear that you like to get into education. I like to
hear the
that.
coach in you too. That's for
I
sure.
can hear a little bit.
A lot of things from Coach Amstutz and all those guys along the way. So,
oh yeah, mini Luke Amstutz. No,
yeah, there you go. And you're a great wrestler too. Don't want to.
That's right.
Point that out. A semi-state qualifier. You play baseball in the East Noble baseball team. So a 3-sport athlete at a bigger school. That's great to see. And so we certainly wish you the best the rest of the season, Dylan, and the rest of your career at East Noble and all the sports you do. And maybe one day we'll see you on the sidelines coaching, and it would not surprise us one bit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for having me on.
You
all
bet,
right.
Dylan. Good luck.
All right, best of luck the rest of the way. Yep, that was Dylan Krehl. It's everywhere. Well, anyway, Dylan from East Noble joining us tonight on Upon Further Review. And wow, Coach, I mean, that was a great interview talking to him. Great to have somebody from East Noble on, and we picked the right guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Senior, a leader of that team, a really solid football player, and year after year, they're able to find the key guys to put in the right places to be in that upper echelon of the conference, to be formidable in postseason, and to really establish a great group of kids that will go on beyond football and whatever they do.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched him for a couple of years, and he's always been one of those guys that catches your eye because of how he plays the game. He plays hard on both sides of the ball. Whatever speed he does have, he gets every bit out of it each and every Friday night. And, he's a kid that goes both ways, but he makes a lot of plays defensively too. I mean, he does a great job in reading and reacting. And I just like the way the kid plays the game because he plays it honestly. He's not in any shape, form, trying to draw a lot of attention to himself. He just kind of goes out and does his job, whether it's running the ball or leading the defense, and you get a honest effort out of him each and every Friday night. And he's one example of a kid that you can point to and be that leader by the way you play, because I doubt he's one of those guys that says much. He does his talking by the way he plays. So
yeah.
I just think he's one of those kids in this area of Northeast Indiana that's a pretty darn good football player, and I would imagine there'd be a lot of coaches that would love to have him on.
Yeah, and I think that's been the beauty. Also, we talk so much about the new conference alignment for the SAC and opening up the first couple weeks, but that has benefited teams like East Noble too, because they're able to play a team like Snyder, and he even mentioned it. They lost that game, but the ability, I mean, to play a whole nother level of game, they're going to take a lot out of that you don't get in playing some of the other teams in the area and even in your own conference. And that's true for Snyder as well. But also too, I think it just bodes well for everybody to have those great matchups that we see. East Noble Snyder last 2 years was one of them. And that like you said, that carried them to this game against Leo. They knew what it took to beat one of those solid teams, and 6 in a row for the Leo Lions over East Noble heading into last Friday, and they flipped that script. And another close one, because I think 11th meeting in the last 6 years for those two teams, and I mean most of them have come down to a touchdown or less. So that's another one last Friday night, and again we could see this matchup again later on this year in sectionals.